So, everyone else around you is staying the exact same, and you are changing. Congratulations. That means that you are probably most likely a leader if you take up the mantle. And here's what I mean by that. You are feeling this urge to change. Like, I need to start, doing such and such a thing in my life. Like, I need to start working out, or I need to start reading every day, or I need to get back into my spiritual practice, whatever that is for you. Or it's stopping doing things. One of my favorite quotes is, when things in your life aren't adding up, subtract. Right? So maybe you're subtracting things in your life as well. That could be it. And you start to do that. You do one thing. You do like one of those things, and then somebody around you kind of has a little bit of a kickback. And usually it's someone who's really close to you, if not the closest person. So they're starting to kind of give you a little bit of a kickback, if you will. And sometimes that is enough for us, right? Especially if we have past traumas like that we haven't dealt with. For instance, for me, it was the traumas of just like always being left behind, or abandonment trauma or whatever. And so for me, I was afraid to do anything that that would make people leave, basically. And so I would do whatever the person wanted, as long as they would just stay, right? And so that could get in the way, right? We need to deal with those. Otherwise, the first sign of kickback, the kickback that I was talking about, we're going to revert back to the original process. That's just one of the many reasons we fail at really changing. But it's going to work out for you this time. We're in a great awakening right now. So, and you're a part of that. You're going to be a part of that. I'm going to be a part of that. We're all going to be a part of it. But you're going to be a part of it in the way that you are going to step into your leadership role, and you're going to start stepping into your power a little bit more. Because you're coming into a place of wholeness and healing, and you're starting to feel whole. And from that place, you can step into your power more fully. And so once you begin to do that, you are unapologetically going to start fixing things in your own life, thing after thing after thing. So if you made it this far in the video, that is most likely 99% chance that that's you. So here's what I would say. Take an actionable step towards realizing this change in your life, right? And becoming the leader in this phase of where we're at in the world right now. Because we're going to need a lot of leaders. We're going to need leaders in like the macro sense, but we're also going to need leaders in the micro sense. Like, there's smaller groups in the world, their leaders are going to need to step up within those smaller groups. It could even be like your friend group, and that leader is going to start pulling people back into the right direction, right? Because we're reconnecting with God, we're reconnecting with Spirit and with Source, and whatever you would like to call it. But there are going to be little holes, basically, where like little reception towers. And that is you. You are a cell phone reception tower. You are giving off the signal, and everybody else is able to get, signal and service basically from that. Ironic that we had a huge nationwide service outage today. But everybody else is going to be able to basically get service off of you from that. And if you are watching this still, you're one of those people. So what I was going to say is, now what we want to do is we want to take, if you're still watching this at this point, an actionable step towards becoming that leader. right? And this is how you're going to step into that. First thing you're going to do, you're going to pick one thing, right? You're going to pick one thing in your life. It could be whatever. It could be like I was saying earlier, working out and so forth, right? Or stopping. I think stopping is probably the best thing to do, like subtracting things from your life. So subtract, like, let's take like smoking, for instance. You are smoking and, right, just theoretically speaking, you're smoking and you're in a group, your friend group smoking and stuff like that. And here's what you can do. You can stop that, right? It could be something small though too. It could be something as little as just like cursing or something like that, right? Stuff that we know that's not good for us and is not serving us and not serving others around us. We're just gonna pick one thing and we're gonna stop doing that, right? And then what's gonna happen is once you stop doing that, A, you're gonna start to feel a heck of a lot better. And B, the people in your life are going to see that you are not doing that anymore, right? Or whatever your example is, that you are doing this, now working out, going to your, church or spiritual practices or the temple or whatever it is for you, and they're starting to see that you're changing, that you're becoming different. And who doesn't want to change? Who doesn't want to change into the greatest version of themselves? Who doesn't want to become the best version they could be, right? So they're gonna want that, right? And as well. And so what's gonna happen with these people, especially if it's someone really close to you, brother, sister, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, so forth, there's gonna be one of two things that's gonna happen. The first thing is they're either going to stick with you or they're going to leave, right? So basically there's going to be a fork in the road for them and they're going to see two paths, and one of those paths has you on it and the other one does not, right? And so this is how that when we start to get people out of our lives that are not helping us, this is how that needs to happen, right? It's not going to the person and saying, hey, you're not helping me at all, so I'm just not going to be hanging out with you anymore. Sorry about that. Maybe, that could be a thing that works for someone, but for me, in my experience, that's never been the way to go about it. You make a change and you say, this is it. This is me. This is who I am. And if you can't hang with that, then that's okay. I totally understand that. But we're going to have to, not hang out as much. And that isn't ever said in words, right? It's not like, we communicate these things, just subliminally, basically. So that is going to be the way in which we can sort of change. And that's also the reason, too, why nobody else is going to be. That's what it means, basically. That's not the reason why, but that's what it means. When everyone else is staying the same, but you're starting to change, right? You continue that journey. This is your sign to continue that. Push forward. Who cares what they say? Don't stop. Have the conviction of your belief that you know the way to go and that you're going to go that way. And no one's going to stop you. And you are going to do what is right? In your heart. And in your mind and in your soul. That is what's really important. Conviction is a force multiplier. If you have the conviction of your belief, nobody is going to stop you. Get that first. Then move on. Made it this far. Thank you very much for watching. And if you want, you could just kind of hang out with me. I'm just kind of on my way to work right now. But that's basically what I wanted to say. I'll kind of stop whenever I get to work. But, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that? And first things first, are we in a great awakening? Well, I mean, I personally feel that we are. And I think that in order for it to compound, we are going to have more people stand up and be in their power, basically. And when I say power, I'm talking about authority, not like earthly authority, but spiritual authority, right? The kind of authority that Jesus had when he was walking the earth, you know. To know that, I love what he said to Pontius Pilate as well, when he said, don't you realize I could kill you if I wanted to? The power of, or your life is in my hands, basically. And then he said, you would have no power over me if it weren't for my heavenly Father in heaven who has given it to you. And I think that is the kind of power that we are going to need to, again, like, just step into it. It's already there for us, right? But we're just, it's easier for us to just like be on the couch and like scrolling through Netflix, because it doesn't take as much effort, right? So we want to sort of be on the path of least resistance, but guess where the path of least resistance leads to? It leads to the bottom of the hill. It leads to the bottom of the mountain where the garbage dump is, right? So, because if you have no resistance, you're rolling downhill all the way, baby. You'll never reach the top of the mountain, right? So we have to have some sort of resistance in our path. It's good. It's also, what does resistance do? It builds our muscles, right? So if we have that resistance, right, it will, and we'll know, right? We'll know when it's too much or when it's just right. But when we have some resistance in our path, we have a heading, and, you know, it's a little bit difficult. Sometimes you've got to lean in a little bit more, right? Take time as well. Take time, quiet down, listen to your inner Holy Spirit, basically, or, you know, your higher self. If you just quiet down, quiet your mind, it will show you, it will tell you what you need to do, right? And it's usually not like a voice like, you need to go to the store and buy some milk. You know, it's usually like a feeling of like, wow, this, I really need to do my taxes, right? That's just gnawing on at me. I want to get that out of the way, right? So just stop and listen, right? And, you know, let's recenter. Let's recenter. It's the beginning of the year. It's springtime. Things are in bloom. Things are in blossom. At least it's springtime here where I am, in Oklahoma in February. But yeah, let's do this. Let's wake the rest of the world up as well. In closing, I kind of just wanted to say this, that I live in the USA and we have a democracy, and our democracy is built on the premise that the people are the authority, right? And that's pretty smart. That's a pretty smart, I wouldn't say it's even necessarily smart. It's just like, it's a very spiritually advanced concept that every single person has, you know, their own individual authority that should be allowed to be exercised and have some sort of outlet. And so if we are really going to, you know, if we're really going to see this nation sort of turn back, not even turn back, but just like course correct and just like go the way that we know that we need to be going, right? Because it's not time for us to go backwards, right? We don't want to go back to a place we were before. We want to go forward where we need to be in the future, right? Where basically we're headed toward the promised land, right? That's what this life is about. So in order to build that for everybody, for our kids and for our grandkids, what we need to do is we need to become that leader, step into our authority so that we can do that, course correct, right? Because power is with us, right? So, yeah, thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And see you in the next one.